Hello, and thank you for joining us for the launch of M&S Suite 18 today. I am Andre Demers, the Product Marketing Manager for M&S at Presagis in Montreal. Make it real is more than a slogan to us. It's what drives Presagis, our people, and our products. When planning Suite 18, we followed this principle. By leveraging the momentum of Suite 17 last year, our launch of Modeling and Simulation Suite 18 is squarely focused on performance and workflow. Hundreds of changes, improvements, and tweaks have been added to the suite. Today, we will go through the most significant enhancements that will improve the way you work with our products. We are confident of this because Presagis prioritized your feedback as well as market tendencies and invested in ensuring that application performance took a big step forward, while functionality and interface elements were enhanced to let you work in a faster, more intuitive way. In order to bring increased value to our products and optimize your maintenance investment, every product in the suite has been improved, from Creator and TerraVista's performance to the simulator's new features. ONDULUS, in particular, received many additions in the form of physically based rendering and support for shortwave infrared, or SWIR, while Vega Prime benefits from increased realism in marine environments. But we will get to those later. First up is ONDULUS IR. ONDULUS IR gives simulations and training scenarios a critical component, physically based infrared sensors. ONDULUS IR 18 has perhaps received the largest amount of changes across the whole suite. New in ONDULUS IR 18 is support for SWIR, physically based rendering, visual and realism enhancements, support for clouds, and new light source types. SWIR is a big feature that we wanted to support in order to address more ranges of IR light in ONDULUS. SWIR light is reflective. It bounces off objects much like visible light. As a result of its reflective nature, SWIR lighting has shadows and contrast in its imagery. Its visuals are comparable to out-the-window images in resolution and detail. However, SWIR images are not in color. In turn, this makes objects easily recognizable and yields one of SWIR's unique tactical advantages: object or individual identification. In order to realize the SWIR capability in ONDULUS IR 18, a number of improvements had to be performed, not only in this application, but across a few others in the suite as well. We'll get to those in a moment. For context, we just want to show a few series of images to highlight the differences between the IR modes, and SWIR in particular. As you can see, compared to the long wave and medium wave, the level of detail produced by the SWIR is quite precise, especially with regard to the specular reflections at sunset. In case the previous images were too small, here is a larger one so that you can appreciate how individual object identification is a remarkable characteristic of ONDULUS IR 18 SWIR mode. Note the specular detail on the metal rooftops. The SWIR sensor in ONDULUS 18 not only calculates lights and materials, but also uses a scene's natural light, whether it be sunlight or, as in this case, moonlight. In addition to reflections on materialized objects, SWIR will also calculate the reflections on water. In order to achieve the accurate calculations required by a SWIR sensor, ONDULUS IR 18 added physically based rendering. By taking into account light types, reflections, object materials, and time of day, physically based rendering, or PBR, is able to deliver the required level of realism that was needed. That said, the benefits of PBR extend to beyond SWIR, as seen in this out-the-window view. The added realism to the scene makes IR simulations, mostly in SWIR and medium wave IR, match more closely what a real sensor produces. This view also enhances the Vega Prime out-the-window view that was previously shown when the user selected the out-the-window view within ONDULUS IR. One more benefit to the ONDULUS 18 derived from the addition of SWIR is the new light types. The type of light can have a strong impact in the infrared wavelengths. By allowing you to specify the light source type, you're able to construct a much more realistic simulation. In this SWIR plus visible light example, you can see how an LED light and an incandescent light cast a different type of light on the steps below. In this version, we also added support for both 2D and 3D clouds in IR. When simulating an IR sensor on a UAV, for example, clouds can have a high impact on the image. In addition, it adds more fidelity to the simulation itself. We've also included a number of additional controls and functionalities based on your feedback. They are local automatic gain control. Some IR sensors provide the capability to have an automatic gain control for local areas of the image instead of being applied to the whole image. ONDULUS IR18 now supports this. Digital zoom offset makes the digital zoom functionality much more useful and matches what a real IR sensor system can do. Anti-aliasing was added because we recognize the need for a more stable image, free of visual distractions. By adding anti-aliasing effects, you're able to improve the visual stability. ONDULUS IR18 is now capable of using different focus modes. Real sensors include this ability since they use lenses to focus the incoming energy. In ONDULUS IR18, this feature adds to the realism of the sensor output. You'll now be able to set the camera to infinite focus, where blurring is determined by other subsystems, manual focus, where you set the focus distance directly, and semi-automatic, where the focus distance is set automatically from a central object in the scene. On a similar note, we also added more realistic IR signatures to synthetic characters and scenes, so they could more closely match what a real IR sensor image produces. Introduced in Suite 17, ONDULUS NVG gives the ability to add realistic, physically based night vision sensor simulation to your research, training, or mission planning environments. ONDULUS NVG supports complex composite and layered materials. As you will see, ONDULUS NVG is greatly enhanced by the addition of physically based rendering. By taking into consideration the light type, materials, and reflections, physically based rendering provides a much more realistic NVG simulation since the reflected light calculation is not only more accurate, but more realistic. The ONDULUS NVG out-the-window view enhances the Vega Prime view that was previously shown when the user selected OTW within ONDULUS NVG. The last member of the Presagis ONDULUS family, ONDULUS radar, can simulate the behavior of both ground-based radar at a given geographic location and radar on board a simulated vehicle or aircraft. The most important improvement of ONDULUS radar is that it is available on a new platform. Other additions include higher resolution display and more display configuration options. Joining its other ONDULUS siblings, ONDULUS Radar 18 is now available on Linux. ONDULUS Radar 18 requires Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 64-bit and GCC 485 compiler. A host of additional enhancements let you extend and edit displays in order to customize or replicate a specific radar model. Improved image resolution. We extended the number of bins from 512 to 1024. This results in an improved image resolution in both PPI and SAR style displays. This enhancement now also supports larger radar display devices. Additional customization. ONDULUS Radar 18 added configuration parameters to configure the color of symbols. We also allow you to specify a scaling factor to the track speed or course vector in the ONDULUS radar display. HELISIM and FLIGHTSIM products provide the flexibility and ease of integration to build high-fidelity helicopter and fixed-wing flight models. Essential for safety-critical simulation applications. And Suite 18 provides you with more control and features that reflect not only how you work, but what you're working on. All of the features and enhancements in this section apply to both products. So, new in FLIGHTSIM and HELISIM 18 is support for DIS 7, profile previews, center of gravity locations, and takeoff and landings from moving ships. Profile preview. In previous versions, you could only get access to the information contained in one profile at a time in the database editor. In 18, you can see the information contained in another profile in addition to the profile currently being edited. For instance, if you're working on a B737 aircraft profile, you can, at the same time, have access to the B767 aircraft profile in the preview dialog. Interactive center of gravity location. Historically, if you wish to know the location of the aircraft center of gravity, the simulation had to be run. In 18, the location of the aircraft helicopter center of gravity, according to the fuel load, gear position, and additional loads configuration, is provided in the initial conditions panel of the database editor. The center of gravity location is also provided graphically in the components coordinates editor. DIS 7. To ensure secure and accurate communications between multiple simulations, both FLIGHTSIM and HELISIM allow you to specify that entity state PDUs emitted by FLIGHTSIM and HELISIM are using version 7 of the DIS standard. The most significant addition to both products is the ability to take off and land from a ship. HELISIM and FLIGHTSIM now support all of the conditions encountered when performing these tasks, including moving ships as well as ship movements due to elevated sea states. Every aspect of the simulation is synchronized, from sensor views to cameras. Stage is an indispensable tool in the creation of true-to-life scenarios. Dynamic environments with natural character and vehicle behavior can be further enhanced with complex interactions, communications, and realistic engagements. New in Stage 18 is support for DIS 7, graphics enhancements across the interface, and improved integration with ONDULUS radar. To further ensure secure and accurate communications between multiple simulations, Stage 18 supports the DIS protocol version 7, in addition to versions 5 and 6. The DIS message output version can be selected on the Messages tab of the DIS HLA configuration dialog box. A number of graphics enhancements across the interface have also been added. They are 3D viewer viewpoint control from the map. When using the Stage 3D viewer, the observer's viewpoint can now be controlled directly from the map. The viewpoint coordinates can also be saved within the scenario for use at a later time. New graphical layer types. Ellipses, arcs, and sector object types can now be added from the graphical layer tool. Dynamic special zones. Special zone location, shape, and dimensions can now be modified in runtime from the Stage Scenario Manager runtime environment. Previously, special zones could only be modified in runtime through the Stage SDK. Stage has also taken a step forward with regard to integration with ONDULUS. When Stage is interoperating with ONDULUS radar in either DIS or HLA mode, Stage properly manages the emission information it receives from ONDULUS radar when it is in shared mode. In shared mode, Stage simulates the own-ship platform, while ONDULUS radar simulates one radar instance on that platform. Designed specifically for simulation applications, Creator is the industry-standard software in the creation of optimized 3D models for real-time virtual environments. Creator 18 put emphasis on how you are working and sought to simplify workflow while retaining a high degree of control. New in Creator 18 is increased performance, an enhanced texture palette, improved tools, and new light types. Creator 18 has improved its performance by giving you the ability to optimize external references. A new preference, Optimize External References, was added to the Open Flight tab that lets you specify how these external references are loaded into the scene graph when read into master files. When checked, geometry of the external reference is optimized for rendering speed. This is done by converting the geometry of the external reference to mesh in the scene graph. One of the benefits of the improved texture palette is the ability to enhance and reuse pre-existing textures with subtextures. In addition to the texture palette includes new commands to more easily copy-paste subtextures between two different textures. Also, the new palette allows you to customize the maximum size of the drawing area, which also lets you visualize larger textures in the palette. Finally, we remove the 4K limit of the texture palette area. This will allow users with larger or multiple textures to see all their texture in relative sizes to each other. There is no longer an upper limit to the palette size, other than hardware limitations. Creator has introduced additional light types that support the physically based rendering of our ONDULUS sensor products. Because ONDULUS IR now supports additional sensor types that deal with reflected light, as we saw earlier, we added functionality in Creator so that each light source in the scene could be properly defined in order to be treated correctly. For example, most standard LED lights are invisible to NVG goggles, and so there's a very big difference in the scene if LED is used instead of incandescent for a given light source, as shown in this example. By putting this functionality in Creator, you can now add this data to moving or static models. For example, adding light sources on the model of a vehicle's headlight instead of faking the illumination with transparent polygons is much more intuitive. Introduced in Creator 17, these tools have been considerably enhanced for 18 based on your feedback. Joint edges can now more rapidly process multiple edge groups. Construct a long path has improved workflow, adding more tool support to work outside XY track plane limits. And the dialogues for interactive tools launched in Creator will display more responsively and in some cases be interactive. We also added a bunch of script tools in an ongoing effort to make more tools inside Creator scriptable. Terra Vista is a terrain generation software that gives content creators the tools they need to handle everything from the extreme scales required for jet simulation to the high level of detail necessary for tactical ground operations and large urban environments. Larger terrains mean bigger projects and extended builds. That said, Terra Vista 18 is all about performance. New in Terra Vista 18 is massively improved build performance, faster imports, improved gaming area and project view, and we added logging. So let's start with a major enhancement. In Terra Vista 18, build performance is increased for all output configurations, but perhaps most noticeably for OGC CDB. Specific areas of optimization include OGC CDB raster publishing. Publishing of all raster datasets, such as elevation, imagery, or raster material, has been optimized. Builds may be up to 2 times faster. Block overhead. The processing time for single blocks during a build has been reduced. Tin generation optimizations. Generating the tin for SAF output configurations is now faster. LOD distribution. Also, we've improved the level of detail distribution of GS models in both publishers. But that isn't all that we've done to increase performance. Terra Vista 18 has added a new and enhanced 3D model publishing option. This new mode dramatically improves 3D model publishing times when working with OGC CDB. Through more optimized code and multiple levels of parallelization, Terra Vista 18 uses fewer system resources and reports fewer warnings, thus providing increased build performance. Also newly available is the publishing of external references, when one model is referencing another model, such as in rooftop clutter, for example. Rather than incorporate it into the geometry of the building model, TerraVista 18 will publish it as a separate GT model, allowing for much better rendering performance in Vega Prime. Although the most significant improvements in build times affect the OGC-CDB output compiler, there are a number of other build improvements to the other output compilers. In keeping with performance improvements, TerraVista 18 also sees faster, scalable server-side imports. Importing large numbers of files and project-intensive imports, such as the geolocalized import, OGC-CDB import, or Dart imports, will be significantly faster than previous versions. Customization options have been added to both the gaming area display and the project view. In the gaming area display, you can now change any of the colors for any of the many block states. In the project view, once open, you can select which layers will automatically be added to the 2D editor. This lets you remove any additional visual noise in the viewer that you are not interested in. Finally, in an effort to help all our customers, we added the logging ability to TerraVista. This will allow Presagis to better detect and evaluate any problems that you might be having. Vega Prime is a comprehensive visualization toolkit that not only lets you create and deploy game quality visuals and electro-optical sensor views for simulation, but allows you to scale and extend the application to achieve high-density scenes across wide geographic areas in real time. In Vega Prime 18, Presagis responded to a number of your requests with regard to the marine environments and effects. New in Vega Prime 18 is a range of marine improvements, including wakes, reflections, and sea spray. The first improvement we made to Vega Prime 18 was the ability to more precisely control ship wakes. We listened to you when you told us that you would like to better see ship wakes from a distance. You are no longer required to use the default wake setting and can control the contrast against the water to improve the effect. In the same vein, some of you asked us for a way to control reflection intensity in the water, while others wanted a way to control its sharpness. In Vega Prime 18, we added the ability for you to adjust the behavior of water reflections to maximize realism. We also heard your request for more realism during the high sea states, as well as a visual indication of wind speed and direction. Vega Prime 18 has responded by adding the sea spray effect that adds to the realism of the local ocean environment during high sea states. You can add this effect directly from Lynx Prime. And that concludes our presentation for today. If you have any more questions, I encourage you to contact us through any of the displayed numbers or at insidesales@presagis.com. I'd also like to take this opportunity to let you know that you can always stay in touch with Presagis through either Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. We also have a new blog that was recently launched that can be found on our website at presagis.com. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today, and we wish you a good day.